The reason that Restart Initiative got involved with this particular project, we were one of the spearheading organizations of this project in cooperation with the Harty School. And the idea evolved among a group of us, first independently and then collectively in the post-war situation. So after the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan ended in 2020, we started to think, okay, how can we start to bring people together?
There is a need for small initiative and to see how we can heal the wounds, how we can contribute to the development of peace process between Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Are there still some threads of common interest that we can start to talk about? And this is why we started our project on economic connectivity. But there's also research that shows that economic connectivity can be a way to build peace. It's again part of a portfolio.
We thought that bringing together experts, small group of experts, technical experts in various fields like transport or energy, markets and skill building, water management, etc. So if we bring them together, very often it was for the first time in the last 30 years that these experts from both sides came together and developing some ideas how this cooperation could look like, would develop a positive agenda for both nations to show Armenians and Azerbaijanis as professionals what could be the benefit of peace.
So welcome to the Harty School. This is our entryway, so to say, and this is the beginning of kind of all of our student spaces here in our university. So the Harty School is a university of governance. We are a university focused on public policy and international affairs. We are a rather small private school here based in Berlin. We're only around 800 students, so a very small university. But the Harty School as a whole we try to engage on issues of global governance, on issues related to international affairs, on issues related to public policy, and of course, we see ourselves also playing a role in helping facilitate these dialogues, particularly in the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia. And in the context of this project, we see ourselves helping to bring together experts. As a university, we are a place of exchange. We're a place where experts are able to talk about things, to work out issues, to address global challenges. And in the context of that, we see ourselves well placed, or in an ideal position as a university in Germany, with this different perspective and this kind of capacity to help facilitate this exchange. We are the only post-20 initiative that focuses on convening small expert groups. So we're talking 6 to 8 people here, very small, from Armenia and from Azerbaijan to talk about issues related to economic connectivity. Remark that this is the first time that there's been a bilateral discussion between experts on water issues between Azerbaijan and Armenia.
And if we think about the pre-war situation in the South Caucasus between Armenia and Azerbaijan, there was a lot of very organic exchange between communities, particularly within border regions, and this was beneficial. Focusing on economic connectivity allows people to talk about concrete and practical issues that unite them. It allows people to focus on the future rather than dwelling on the past, and start to think about a mutually beneficial and mutually connected future in the region.
First dialogue, it was about transport. Imagine for 30 years, there has been no transport, no communication between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Railroads, roads, all kind of different communications. What needs to be done? What parts of railroad or road need to be repaired? Who can fund this? Azerbaijan, Armenia, or European Union, or other international donors. What should be strategy about this? And there were some ideas where experts on both sides agreed, some ideas where they disagreed, but at least there was agreement to conduct feasibility study.
In our last meetings, we discussed big energy projects that could be done in our region. The most important one of them is oil and gas project related to the oil field in Caspian Sea called Dostlug. Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Turkey will be all participants of the project. This project can bring serious capital to the region. Serious constructions can be started. Economies of all participating countries will benefit immensely from this project. At the same time, this will serve to the long-term peace in the region.
We have to try to see all the complexity of the world, not only on nation states and other things. There is a lot of things that have more crucial influence to our life, like water.
Azerbaijan is a downstream country. More than 70% of our water resources are formed in neighboring countries. In Armenia, Georgia, and Iran, more than 15 rivers enter Azerbaijan directly from Armenia. Some of these rivers are in a very bad ecological condition. This condition must be improved. In this context, I think Azerbaijan should cooperate with Armenia in the future. Water knows no borders.
Climate change, water scarcity, water affected by all this situation. And this is very important that experts especially meet and discuss, because we are out of politics. I hope we will continue, because discussion was very fruitful. Many common points identified and ways to cooperate, how to cooperate.
Today we were mainly focusing on different ideas that could uplift communities in each of our respective countries, but also create a bridge between Armenia and Azerbaijan and Armenian and Azerbaijani communities, as well as ways to specifically include women and girls and more vulnerable communities in these discussions, because oftentimes, unless they are actively and purposefully included, they often get left behind.
There are human face of the issue, and they are ignored. And we have to make sure that we include human side of the issue to our work. We have to make sure that the various groups, communities, they get their respective place in the process, and then they can be part of the sustainable peace in the region.
It's very easy to stick to what everybody's used to and to stick to the status quo. And when vulnerable communities are not continuously, or they're not used to being included, it's very easy to forget them and leave them behind, because that has been what happens, and it's easier to stick with what happens, what has always happened, especially as we go into the unknown, let's say, of this new future peace-building relationship between Armenians and Azerbaijanis.
I loved the tourism project. There was this idea of that when tourists come, and we are talking about big numbers of tourists, they are not coming only to see Azerbaijan. They wouldn't come from all the way from Japan or China only to see Azerbaijan. When they come to see both Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Armenia. They're interested in that. And that's a common practice. Like people go to Balkans and they don't go only to Croatia. They go do a trip, right, around Balkans. So the idea is that we need to offer a joint package. And then we started building on each other's ideas that it has to be community tourism that benefits local communities. It has to attract small and medium business owners from all three countries, and that the packages are prepared together. Maybe it is coordinated from Georgia, because currently there is no direct communication between Azerbaijan and Armenia. But in future, who knows? After the peace treaty, who knows what will happen? I personally loved the idea there was a business element to it, there was business interests, and we know that business is the best driver of intentions. So there was this business element. So if Azerbaijani entrepreneurs don't do a good job of hosting, then the other partners will suffer. So that will create lots of communication and collaboration to make this a success.
Not only these two countries, but the whole region, the Southern Caucasus, but many other regions in the world are facing common challenges like climate change, like migration, division of powers and power structures, and an end to the global order as we know it. We have to adapt to change, and the only way to cope with the challenges ahead is cooperation, because isolation will not be a solution in a world where resources are scarce and conflicts will rather increase than decrease. There are a few starting points which we can look at. It is energy security, it is water security due to climate change, but also migration. And as those two countries lie at the front line, so to speak, of global fragmentation and the power game and the system rivalry we are in, it is obviously that the two countries need to cooperate to be stronger in a massively changing world.
In addition to the dialogues, our key output is a white paper summarizing all of the dialogue recommendations. We want this paper to be a catalyst for further donor support in the region because it is the product of bilateral dialogue among experts and contains ideas of mutual benefit and interest.
We think that we know Armenia very well. Armenians think they know us very good. But when we spend time together for several days and socialize, we try to ask each other many questions. Because during the last 30 years, both sides formed narratives about each other. And today we can see that these narratives are outdated.
I think we are basically dreaming, because we are dreaming about the future when the region is peaceful, where the young people can talk to each other. We're really dreaming about what kind of future is possible. We're also talking about what needs to be done to get there.
The key idea is that people should continue to talk to each other despite all challenges. It's not easy. It's very complicated, it's very challenging. But again, the only way to move forward, or at least to try to move forward, people should meet with each other, people should talk, people should share ideas how to overcome this.
I'm deeply impressed about how serious this group takes its role as probably a group of first movers. And you can see that it is not always easy for them to leave behind the tensions or the grievances, but they're trying so hard to find a kind of new way to reach out to each other and focus on the topics which affects them all. So I perceive them as very honest, very hardworking.
It's not just an economic idea from one side. It's a collaborative effort, and something that people on both sides are having a say in will be very effective in creating a just and lasting peace.
Yesterday, somebody from Armenia said he doesn't believe that if you go and do a sincere survey in Azerbaijan and Armenia, he believed many people will not be so antagonistic as we would like to portray. So he said we need to check our assumptions. That tells me he has hope in his heart.